Hi! Didn't think I'd get one more video out this year, but here we are. I've moved into my new place, it's nice and cozy, got my stuff moved in, and I'm excited to get to work on more things. Although the neighbors are noisy and might also be murderers, hearing a drill at 3 p.m? Normal. 4 in the morning, along with footsteps outside? Less normal. If I stop posting again, you'll know what happened. Did have to live a whole month without internet, and oh boy did that suck. Couldn't even play award-winning MMO Final Fantasy XIV, and I can't think of a worse fate. If I have to go without internet again for that long, I'm just gonna throw myself down the stairs and end it early. Rogue Galaxy is an action JRPG from Level 5. It's the same devs as the darkcloud series, and the fourth game they made with freaking Dragon Quest coming in right before this. A game that did big numbers and is remembered fondly enough that its hero made it into Smash as one of the alt costumes. Good for them, good for them! But I'm more interested in Level 5's original IPs, but that Dragon Quest is still in the cards. The game stars Jester Rogue, an orphan who lives on a desert planet with a rad birthmark on his face, so you'll know he'll end up being Space Jesus. A large monster attacks his town and in the confusion gets mistaken as the greatest hunter in the galaxy, Desert Claw. From here he joins a group of space pirates and begins his new life of being a law-abiding citizen by renewing his galactic travel visa, working a cushy factory job, and going on oceanside vacations. While on his work trips, he acquires 7 consultant specialists and uses the literal power of friendship to kill God.
I'm counting on you, Ultimate Sword.
I think the first thing to point out, and perhaps the most obvious change for Level 5's games, is that we dropped the city builder part and the randomly generated dungeons, in favor of handcrafted level layouts and party-based battles. Not all of it is forgotten. That means the fighting has taken center stage, with monsters showing up directly in the level. No more of this being transported into the battle dimension so you can line up taking turns to punch each other. I'll dive more deep into combat later since that's going to be a more beefy section, so let's instead talk about how it looks. Now, just like darkcloud 2, this is being emulated, a resolution and stuff is being boosted, it never looked this good on PS2, so, bear that in mind. That means there might also be some minor visual jank in the video, stuff like the text being grey instead of white. If you see something that's just a tiny bit odd, that's why. Overall character design is still good. Level 5 likes giving life to little characters. We're dealing with a much bigger scale this time, so the models are going to get reused, which is perfectly reasonable. They'll still all have dialogue that will change depending on how far you are throughout the game. It's never that interesting, really, but I appreciate that someone out there cares for all the little randos in the background. The main cast also keeps that nice line between the not too much and not too simple design. And each party member has a base costume and 4 collectible ones, which is a lot. I greatly appreciate that. So if you're wondering why some of the characters look different sometimes, that's the reason why. Now that we have consistent level design, it's a lot easier to have more standout visuals during normal gameplay. darkcloud 2 was certainly a lookup, but if it wanted a striking showpiece, I had to dedicate a whole floor of a dungeon to show it off. Here you could just be wandering and be like, damn, that's a sexy beach. Damn, that's a sexy neon city. Or perhaps, damn, that's a sexy Lilica. Get down from there. The thing is, I don't think Rogue Galaxy hits the same consistent level as the previous games. Higher highs, but lower lows. I get it, making a mine look pretty without it looking gaudy is hard. The last 2 games didn't manage it, so you get a pass. But when I entered the lair of the ultimate evil, sealed away for 10,000 years, and the best you could do was some lava and a giant skull with goofy red eyes, it's a tad underwhelming. And this next remark is gonna hurt, and I'm sorry, I am. But some of this level design is less interesting to navigate than the randomly generated stuff from before. You can try your best to make these 3 rooms look a little different in each area, but I'm still walking through the same 3 rooms. And you would think that bad level design would equal bad visuals, but no, it's not always the case. Look at this place, the sewers. Structurally, the sewers are incredibly basic, but the color choice, the lighting, the water, it looks good! It's weird to see a game like this bounce around in quality like that. Oh, but the track that plays you, A Watery Grave, complements the place pretty perfectly. I would say the soundtrack itself is good. It's one of those games where I find the OST to be alright on its own, but I can't imagine it sounding any different. Despite the game having a science fiction setting, the instrument choice is almost entirely contemporary, sort of like Star Wars? Hell, this game lends a few ideas from Star Wars now I think about it. I do believe the soundtrack's strength is in its more simpler tracks, just like before. Stuff like the solemn guitar hiding secrets of the past in the desert. The pleasant mundanity of a company reception. And just as you put the game in the back of your mind and start to vibe out to the music and the visuals, the party poopers arrive.
Let's go!
And get used to hearing this battle track, because like I said, this is 50% of the game now. And the battle track is fine. Fine, let's go with fine. I always thought it was a bit too low energy given how deadly the combat can be. Taking its time for a crescendo that never comes, just to repeat. Come. Am I really laughing at come? Okay. Giving off the feeling that the track never finished. Wow, this sentence really is kind of sexually charged. It's not all Rogue Galaxy's fault. This genre is saturated with some amazing battle tracks. So I'll take plain over. Oh, don't worry. Your time will come soon. The combat itself? Let's get into that. When battle does happen, your selected character has a weapon combo, a charge attack, and a few contextual actions, such as down attacks and a secondary weapon that has an ammo pool. In addition, there's an action gauge that once depleted means you have to stop attacking for a bit. Party members will play a little different from each other. Jester, being the good boy protag, has a sword and a gun, the classical anime cool. Deplete your gun gauge and it will need time to recharge. Very easy to understand. Most of the characters function just like Jester, with maybe their own quirk. There's one or two act a little different. Kasala has no ranged weapon, so she has two melee buttons, one which is faster and can sorta auto-track. The weirdness of this system is when she runs out of kick meter and has to recharge her feet. That never felt right. Lilica, a more ranged focused character, for some reason has her primary weapon use the ammo gauge? So the archer has to get into melee sometimes to kill time, while she, I don't know, remembers what her bow is. Assuming her arrows work, of course. It's the kind of design I would like to see cleaned up with more modern ideas, but these two are the outliers. Everyone else plays fine. Well, maybe Simon's a little iffy, but give him the power of God and he's good. Honestly, anything that keeps the enemies away from me is preferred. The moment you set foot on the jungle planet, the game gives you a, if you die, that's game over tutorial, which seems like a really weird thing to have a tutorial for. The reason you get it will become apparent as from this point forward, Rogue Galaxy does not pull a single punch in the damage department. I thought I knew what high damage was. I did not. You have a better chance surviving Savage content in 14 than a battle in Rogue Galaxy. It's so high that the game seems to have one-shot protection, and I want you to really think about that. The fact that regular random battles have the potential to output one-hit KOs to such frequency that you need to be saved from it. Of course, if an enemy has multiple hits, then that system is out of the fucking window, isn't it? That was the final boss, by the way. I died in about 10 frames. There was 9 bosses before this, but no checkpoint anyway. Oops. Generally, the enemies die in about 2 combos worth of damage, or less if you use one of the many damage boosting skills, so you don't have to worry about being an eternal punching bag. It's incredibly volatile. In a blink of an eye, either the enemies are dead, or both your allies are on the floor deceased. It's weird, both the previous darkcloud's combat was about as deadly, but I never really noticed it to the same level. I guess in those games, you dictated the how and when to engage enemies, and now that's been taken away in favor of them literally bursting out of the ground, creating a much more neutral battleground, it just becomes a lot more apparent. That is, of course, if you choose to fight them properly. My friends, may I introduce you to the instant damage abilities? Every character has at least one of them, and they are not created equally. Jasta's Sandy Breeze will do for a while, but going forward you'll need the heavy guns. Simon, Steve, Jupus. The SSJ of the crew, if you will. All three have nuclear options to get rid of anything in your way. When I said they would die in a blink of an eye, I was not joking. Watch. Oh, I'm sorry, was that too fast? How about another? Like I said, high damage game. The only thing stopping you from doing this till the end of time is the size of your AP bar. And even then, if you find it lacking, we have pills for that. Unfortunately, those that have protection, Jesus Christ, this is sexually charged, am I okay? 3 equally annoying things to stop you from seeing the credits with this strategy. One is Guard. This monster is now invulnerable to damage unless you land a charge attack, or use something to negate it, like one of the abilities, blah 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 blah. Not much of a problem, easy to deal with. 2 is Weak Points. This is mostly reserved for the big bodies. You'll have to get on their level in order to do any damage. They also usually stretch the camera system to breaking point with all the jumping you'll be doing. Very fun when the fight consists of 5 of these. Remember, running is all the better parts of Valor. 3 is Guard again, but designed badly. A little ways in, Jester gets a new sub-weapon, the Barrier Break Shot. 1 bullet and their buff dissipates. The poor design is only Jester gets this weapon, therefore the only one with the ability to break barriers. Perfectly fine if you tend to play nothing but the hero for the entire game. Incredibly viable, he's also the strongest character. Understandable, simply switch to the weapon and solve your problem. However, if you like the variety in life, these enemies are complete pace breakers. Either you switch to Jester to solve the problem, or you leave him equipped with the Barrier Break Shot and beg the AI will put 2 and 2 together. Spoiler, he won't. This is all assuming that the gun was reloaded when you started the fight. Have fun thinking about your life choices at 2 in the morning while you wait for the bar to fill. At least Burn and Strike will strip them of all advantages if you got enough in the tank. Right, Burn and Strike. What's your opinion on QuickTime events? There was a point when the game industry was fucking obsessed with them, especially in the PS3 360 days, to the point of backlash over the idea. And for good reason. You could be minding your own business, watching a cutscene, and all of a sudden, uh-oh, this game has QTEs and you died, what a dumbass. Again, and again, and again. God, remember when Tomb Raider Legend had an in-game bonus video showing you all the ways Lara could die in them? That was downright bizarre. QuickTime events for gameplay elements though? Used smartly, they can really add to the game, which loops right back around to Rogue Galaxy. I think this generation of consoles had the best experimentation with QTEs, stuff like God of War and other games. Once you've unlocked Burn and Strike, your character does a cool looking attack and all you have to do is time your buttons. The buttons themselves are 100% guaranteed to be the same every time, per character, per level of Burn and Strike, so no guesswork is ever needed. And some of these look really good! Jester's level 1 Burn and Strike might be perfection in terms of snappiness and animation. Never taken any longer than it has to. So clean. Some do feel like they drag, but the next level usually makes up for it since each level is a logical progression in the attack pattern. Let me demonstrate with Lilica. Her first one feels like it's indulging a little bit in her attack. You can feel it, right? But level 2? Damn, that's good. That's good. Like I said earlier, about 2 hours ago, Burn and Strike also has some utility. Being able to strip away enemies' defensive buffs, a guaranteed knockdown in days, attacking enemies underground, ending combos with big damage. And if you're made of 100% radium, even using it as a last-second counterattack on a different target. Please save your applause till the end of the video. The worst thing about it is that it can't be used on bosses, which is a huge shame. The devs probably thought that accounting for the size of the bosses in the QTE was way too much. pretty understandable since some of these bosses are kinda huge. I don't blame them for that. So, they just turned off your ability to do so. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to use the cool thing on the boss? Invalid now. But I wanna... Nope. Invalid now. What a way to phrase that. Oh, and in case you were wondering, level 5's boss design is still a little... yeah. If you want to stay competitive with your damage, then you'll need to meet Toadie. Wait, what's that rumbling? Weird. Anyway, Toadie will consume your weapons and fuse them together. You can reach the final boss just by combining things around about the same level. You will always get decent weapons doing that, though if you want to make the most out of him, take a trip down to the frog log, and here you can see... I don't remember that door being there. Oh god, the side quest door is bursting open! No, there's too much! I don't understand how can one game have so much side... Was that Darth Vader as a bug? In fact, Rogue Galaxy has so much side content, I need to dedicate a whole section of the video to talk about it. Starting with an anime filler classic, a beach episode / movie combo. The planet Elistia opens up around about 60% of the way through the game, and is a lovely water planet. I'm about to say some mean things about it, but visually, this place is the best looker throughout the entire game. The PS2 was fantastic at beaches and ocean, I don't know why. Once you arrive on the planet, conflict between the Deegs and the mermaids has pushed the mermaids to the brink of extinction. What's a Deeg? Good question. Anyway, do you notice something odd about this cutscene? Let me play like a normal cutscene that happens in the story.
Listen, mister. Do you have any idea who you're in the presence of? Well, I'll tell you. The legendary hunter Desert Claw, that's who. Now stand back and behold the mighty hero.
Wait a minute. You're Desert Claw?
Now here's one on Elistia.
Wait a sec. Why are you getting all excited?
It's Daytron. How can we pass this up?
Right.
Do you see that?
Why not?
It's motion captured. What's weird about that? Well, as you just saw, it's the only place in the game to be animated this way. They're so committed to the anime movie aesthetic that the goddamn animation style changed. In total, the beach planet is about an hour long and contains nothing to do with the main plot in any way whatsoever. These days sound like this would be a pre-order DLC bonus. Rogue Galaxy, Conflict of the Enigma Gem, with like mostly negative reviews on Steam. Level 5 at this time is so committed to making sure there is as much content packed onto this game as humanly possible. Like some sort of factory. Speaking of, the factory might be the most important side activity you can indulge in, because anything you make here shows up in the shops around the entire game. That includes weapons, status protection equipment, potent items. The game considers it so important, it gives you the ability to access it anywhere in the game at any point. Once you learn a blueprint, you'll have to set up a production line that will refine and output the right materials to the assembly machines, simultaneously. Something that gets harder and harder the more ingredient it asks for. And it is here you will learn the thrills of cable management. You only have so many power sockets, and these cables don't go under or over these machines. You better appreciate how this looks. This took me like half an hour. Alright, let's power on the machine and let it do its thing. Alpha. Hold on. Add this here, and... Alright, power cables. Let me just hook this up. Wait, why did I exit out of the cable menu? I've hit the max amount of cables? No, please, I'm so fucking close. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back to stabbing clams. Oh, I could just plug it into the other side. Oops. Go catch your factory! Ta-da! Here's your new item. Now do that 35 more times. You know what? How about we come back to the factory later? For now, let's indulge in America's favorite pastime. Bug combat! During the jungle, you get ambushed by a D-tier sports anime protagonist who hands you a trap for bugs. Get yourself 5 of these bad boys and you can compete in the Insectron tournament. If you have any experience with turn-based strategy, this will be a walk in the park. Every type of bug functions as its own sort of subclass, each one having 3 uses of its own special gimmick. You'll also need to designate one of them as a king. Its death will end the match right there and then. Press advantages and mitigate casualties, the usual strats, and you will be a winner in no time. But watch out, some of these bugs don't have the same potential as others, and will top out their power level very quickly. So you better start breeding the bugs! Alright, no more bugs, gotcha. Maybe you should do some quarries instead? Could be fun. The boss will not be unless you solve my riddle 3. Fine, okay. I'll go hunt some random battles. Nothing complicated about that, right? Did someone say hunting record? Why don't you kill more than 4,500 enemies consisting of 212 varieties? And while you're at it, why don't you go find the 7 sacred swords, all with the mini side quests that are all different from the 9 side quests to track down the universe's rarest items? Start digging through the trash, you fucking rat! And don't forget the post-credits bonus dungeon that once completed unlocks the extreme version, that's an X, not an E, that contains 100 floors. But you can't access it unless you count how many times Casala shows up on the fucking title screen. Yes, that is real and I am not making that up. Okay, deep breaths. Okay, we can get to this together. Whew. It's safe to say the Rogue Galaxy has a lot of side content. And I might point out that everything I brought up in the last couple of minutes is optional. Maybe not the weapon fusion, but it's easy to understand why number go up will help you finish the game. Just be warned, if you're a completionist, this game might drive you off the deep end. Fair warning. I won't be doing a story summary for Rogue Galaxy because I just don't care to. darkcloud 2 almost killed me. Sometimes the game has setups and payoffs from the first hour all the way until near the end. Other times it feels like it's being made up on the spot, like kids playing in the back garden. The stuff it does with the characters is good. A lot of the main cast explore themes of loss, regret, and pride, needed to move past the pain the life has dealt them. And while it's talking about that, the villains of the plot just circle around it like vultures, waiting for the right moment to peg away at the emotional core, until it evolves into star guards, time shenanigans, and greedy corporations. Alright, fine, maybe one example won't hurt. Digo, the top dog baby, let's go! Gets a coin for his upgrade tree about halfway through the game. If you try to use it, however, it won't fit. Saying something, it should fit here, but something's wrong with it. Near the end, Digo gets to have a heart-to-heart with the old friend that gave him the coin. He talks about how he was too caught up in trying to forget in a vain attempt to run away from it all. But now the strength he carries with him, with his friend, nothing will stop him. This transforms the coin, allowing you to access his final abilities, with a text box that reads something along the lines of, "It fits into the indentation perfectly, like it was supposed to be there this entire time." And that is so fucking cool. And right after that, we have, "I knew Mother was a Zarbala this whole time," and "I'm counting on you, Ultimate Sword." It's not equal. It's lopsided. It hurts. If Rogue Galaxy took out the space prophecy stuff, focused on the characters, and kept the big plot connection to one character, making Jasta's role more of a out-of-his-element sort of naive good guy with a big heart, I think it would have come together a lot for me. It feels like the dev team was missing someone that would say no, a real desk slammer, if you will. You want to add a beach planet? The animator's already working on Lilika's boob physics. They don't have time to rig some fish people. Just get some motion capture, people. No, that would stick out like a sore thumb. Wait, hold on. You want the player to defeat at least 20 monsters of every type in the game for 100%. Right. How many do we have in the game right now? 112 varieties? And they spawn randomly in a pool that gets new monsters when the player progresses through the game? That's stupid, no. Replaying Rogue Galaxy, it's certainly the game I like the least out of Level 5's catalog, which is saying something because I've actually only played 4 of their games. All of the RPG ones, darkcloud's, Dragon Quest, and this game. Oh, and like 2 Professor Laytons. Which means in all honesty, Rogue Galaxy is still a really good time. I have so many games to play from them, which is why I really wanted to revisit this one. I have no clue what a White Knight Chronicle is, since I think the internet forgot about it, and I'm so excited to play that. Regardless, if you're looking for something that will kick your ass if you don't try in battles, It has some heart, even if it's a little buried from time to time, and will give you your money's worth. In content, Rogue Galaxy might be a gem. Like darkcloud, it's available on PS4 for like £12? Given the deluge of endless shovelware JRPGs all published by Kemco on the PS4 store, Rogue Galaxy is a shining beacon of value. Just try not to die, alright?
I'm counting on you, Ultimate Sword.